What's up, guys? I'm gearing up to do a little bit of sun gazing. The sun's a little too high right now, so I'm just waiting. Thought I'd come on here and just talk about this for a second, because I haven't talked about this in a while. This is something I used to talk about a lot, something I used to do a lot more of, and I've kind of fallen away from it. But so a lot of people have given me shit for this type of behavior. And they do it with this sense of like, oh no, don't, like, you're gonna ruin your vision, don't do that, and then the same with people just get so concerned about my, proclaiming that I've never worn sunscreen in my whole life. I think at some point when I was a kid, my mom tried to put it on me, and I was like, get that shit away from me right now. Nope. And I threw a little bit of a tantrum. I actually remember this when I was a kid. And it was the one time, and my parents were like, I guess Tim's not gonna wear sunscreen. And I've stuck to that, and I will continue to stick to that. And so I'm 37, and I've been looking at the sun more than I should by most people's standards, as long as I can remember. And at age 37, I have 20/20 vision. So I've also never worn sunglasses. I'm not trying to brag here. I'm just telling you the truth. And my experience should be valuable, because not that many people have done this because they've been told otherwise. They've been told that it's really irresponsible to be in the sun without sunscreen. Now, that is one of the biggest loads of bullshit that I've ever heard in my life. So, and it only takes a little bit of research to figure that out. So there's a chemical called benzene. Benzene is poisonous to biological life in any larger concentration, more than a 1 part per billion, I think it is. And if you look at the FDA's website and you read about benzene, you'll see that it's considered unsafe to be around, or to handle, or to use in the production of anything. However, it's present in much larger concentrations than the FDA says is okay in almost all sunscreens. And you just read the label, research that ingredient. That's just one ingredient. But that ingredient alone, and it's so toxic that actually people bathe in it, and it ends up in waterways destroying coral reefs and fish. That's how damaging this chemical is. And it's in high concentrations in almost every sunscreen on the shelf. That is so much more likely to cause you cancer, just statistically, than sun exposure ever would. So I have been in the sun without sunscreen, fully exposed as much as I can. I've just sort of instinctually been doing this my whole life. Before I knew that there were health benefits to it, which there absolutely are, I just knew it felt good. And you couldn't tell me otherwise, because I'm gonna do what feels good, and to a fault. If you know me, you know I've taken that too far. But the sun feels good. It does. And if it doesn't feel good to you, that's an indication that there's something really wrong with your physical health. You probably eating too many seed oils, you probably have inflammation going on, and so maybe when you go in the sun, you don't enjoy it, or you get sunburns. I don't get burnt, you guys, and again, I'm not bragging, it's just that doesn't happen to me. And the reason why is because I've acclimated to the sun. I can spend 7-8 hours a day in direct sunlight in the middle of the summer with no clothes on, and I do not get burnt. It just doesn't happen. The only thing that happens negative would be there's kind of a sun sickness. It's more like heat stroke, but if you're out there long enough to the point where you start to feel shitty, then it's just all right, well, you get out of the sun now. It's just common sense. But it is incredibly good for your skin, incredibly good for your eyes, incredibly good for your hair, incredibly good for your serotonin production, your vitamin D production, incredibly good for your endocrine system and your hormone balance, and et cetera, et cetera. That's just the sun touching your skin. Now, getting into your eyes, the whole other thing. I'm about to go start this because the sun's just about low enough now. So speaking of, if you're interested in sun gazing, you haven't tried it, you want to try it, I highly recommend it. It's really, for me, it's very calming, and it's very, it's hard to explain what it even does. It puts me in a meditative state. It puts me more in my kind of spiritual nature, if that makes sense. And it helps me sleep. I've struggled with insomnia a lot of my life, and I've noticed that if I make a point of watching the sunset and then I stop looking at like LED or like, you know, phony light that comes off the screens, after I do this, I tend to sleep way better. And there's a lot of science behind why that is. I'm not going to get into that because this video is too long already. But so here's just like a rule of thumb for sun gazing. Just hold your thumb out, you know, as far as you can hold it out, put it at the horizon, right about the point where the sun, you know, if you put the bottom of your thumb right on the horizon line, right around the point where the sun is just about to touch your thumb, that's when it's safe to stare right at it. And you can stare right at it to the point that it drops below the horizon. And what I suggest is, if you're going to try this, get into like a meditative state, try to empty your mind and just let the light enter. And then when the sun sets, close your eyes for a little while and just kind of meditate on what that feels like. And then if you can manage to not expose your eyes to blue light after that, I think you'll notice what I notice. You're gonna sleep better, deeper. And same thing in the morning, if you can get up early enough, which I'm not the best at these days, but I try. If you can watch the sunrise and the sunset in the same day, wow. So, all right, gonna get to it now.